Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dr. V's Motivational Monday, a video series on self-regulation and effective learning strategies where our goal is to learn how to learn because after all, learning should be fun. And we're going to go back to finding ways to make it fun. And this week we're going to talk about one of the less fun aspects of learning, especially in school, and that is taking tests. But we're going to start with the understanding this week that it's not going to be about cramming. It's not about crazy cramming the night before, guys. It's about proper preparation. And we're going to come up with 5 different ways that you can prepare properly for your upcoming tests, midterms, finals, whatever kind of test you have on the docket. So let's go ahead and get started with talking about how we need to develop a routine for when we study. This really comes down to the idea that consistency is going to be key, much like it would be for anything and much like we've talked about in the past. Building in time for what it is you need to do during your day is one of the best ways to ensure you get that work done. And that is why I recommend small daily study sessions rather than long cramming sessions, especially the day before, because it's going to keep the information fresh and it's going to allow you to better gauge how much you know over time. You also need to make sure you know what you're going to study when you sit down to study. So part of making a plan is not just writing down everything that you have to study, but assigning those things to the different days and times that you're putting together to study during. The next thing you're going to do is practice active recall. And that just means, guys, quiz yourself. Understanding that memorization is not going to be the goal, but familiarization is. Familiarization means that you understand the material well enough, but you can't necessarily quote it or state the definitions of things verbatim. And that's okay, because familiarization is better than memorization in the long run. What you can do to help yourself with this practice active recall is test yourself on key concepts without looking at the book or at your notes. You can utilize a lot of different study guides to do this, a lot of different study materials, including now some AI materials that will help you create practice quizzes, and in such as the one I have linked on the screen for you. I would also recommend practicing the test environment. So if you know the test environment is going to be in a classroom at a desk and it's going to be silent, cram or study for your exam, study for your tests, don't cram, study in a way that is similar to that test experience. If you know your test is going to be short answer or multiple choice, make sure you give yourself questions that mirror what the test is eventually going to look like. One of the best ways that you can make sure you're ready for an upcoming test is to teach what you know to someone else. How well can you explain what you've learned to another person? And I recommend you do this in multiple ways. You can record short videos of yourself, explaining the content and then watching it back. How did you do with understanding everything? And then you can also practice teaching it to people who do know the ideas as well as people who do not. Somebody who can push back with a little bit of knowledge and help you expand yourself, and somebody who doesn't know much at all who will help you really simplify the material. Guys, the 4th recommendation is probably the most important. You have to be willing to actually do the work. You have to spend time on your studying. It's not going to happen if you cram for it the night before, but if you spend time really looking into the things you don't understand, it's going to be the best use of your time overall. You also want to make sure that you pay attention to the explanation for why things might be incorrect. If you get something wrong, don't just, brush it off and say, oh, well, look at what it is that's wrong about it and figure out how you can get it right the next time. The last suggestion I have for preparing for tests is to take care of your brain. Your brain is one of your best, strongest organs in your body. And so as much as it's important to understand how you can get more information in your brain, you need to understand how to help your brain be in its most comfortable environment. And that is why self-care is so important. When you study, make sure you plan in breaks. Make sure you think about your diet. Make sure you are still spending time with other people. Because remember, when it comes to these 5 suggestions, it's not about crazy cramming. It's about proper preparation, which can really make all the difference. That has been another episode of Dr. V's Motivational Mondays. Remember, you have a say in the content we release on this channel. Simply scan this QR code and make your voice known. Thanks, everybody.